Welcome, Evil X's, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast. In this episode, we are reviewing Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Now on Netflix, all animated episodes are out now. Check them out. They're really special. I'm a big fan of the movie that's kind of loosely based on the comics as well. Akram, what did you think of this series?
Yeah, I had a blast with it. I'm not going to lie. The animation, I like the slow frame rate. It reminded me a little bit of Spider-Verse movies. I liked even how the animation looked. I seen some snippets of the comic book, and of course they based it off of that. So it was really cute. A lot of the characters here. It's great to see the original cast make a return, and I think the voice acting was really great. It's a hilarious show as well. Sometimes outright outrageous, and I love that about this. I'm not a huge Scott Pilgrim fan, but this is definitely wetting my beak to get into it. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it offers something for everybody. Fans of the movie, fans of the comics. It's a nice marriage of those. And I've only read some of the comics, but I remember the movie really well. It's like one of my favorite movies. I think that really worked well as an animation. It comes naturally, straight out of the comics, that style. And I think they could do a lot more with animation than they could in live action.
Yeah.
But albeit it is kind of like weird, because I think the movie, say what you want about the movie, I know it's like mixed reviews, but I always say it's like a cult classic. And I think there was just something about it in live action that worked with the comedy so well. So I think for this show, it was already lighthearted with the animation, so maybe the humor didn't hit for me as well. But nonetheless, I think the fighting sequences are really cool, and a lot of the CGI effects were really nice. Like you said, like the slow frame rate was pretty cool as well. And they take the time to kind of explore more of the characters than they did with the movie. So Scott Pilgrim actually takes like a back seat a little bit.
He takes
in
off.
this series. Yeah, he takes off. So exactly, which is good and bad. Good in the fact that like the comics, which in the comics they actually went to different points of view and they explored like different character relationships, which I really liked. But at the same time, it's also about Scott Pilgrim, so you kind of want him at the forefront of it too. But it's a weird, nice balance. I kind of enjoyed it, but I want to hear more of your thoughts.
No, yeah, I really, being a novice to Scott Pilgrim, and it's called classic-y stuff. I really thought that as a newcomer, this was a really fun type of animated show to see. And again, Netflix is doing great with anime. So, and it presented I don't know if we really should go into spoilers, but it presented a unique perspective that kind of went to different realms and times and stuff. And I thought that was really great. And I don't know, there's a lying hidden theme in there. And I think it's pretty sweet and poignant. Basically, to love yourself, easy peasy. Although I felt like that came a little bit later and was too rushed, and it just moved on. But then again, for the most part, I think this is about just having a fun time while watching this. And again, everyone's like really crazy and stuff and over the top. And there was something hilarious about it. And I feel like you could actually rewatch this multiple times and just have a great time. And then kudos to the rest of the cast. I was a little taken aback how monotone Ramona was, but because I wasn't like, I don't really remember the older movie, but then you told me like that's her character and stuff like that.
She kind of was, the same in this, and it kind of worked with her character. I think I liked Ramona more in the animated version. I think there's something about her in the anime version that kind of like stems from the comics a bit. I think they purposely made her kind of like almost like a cold bitch in the movie, on purpose to make you hate her almost. But here it's like she kind of becomes a little more empathetic, and she kind of tries to have like that self-respect thing, and also kind of like have closure with a lot of her exes. Like I like that scene with like Roxanne where they had that big fight, but then it ends up like working out at the end. So I think they made her a little bit more likable here. And the evil exes themselves were kind of interesting in this. They got a lot of screen time in this show, which I thought was really cool. They definitely got more explored than the movie. In the movie, they just felt like generic, villain of the week villains. But here, they're actually like fighting each other, which is really funny. They have like a whole Civil War thing, and they actually end up fighting with Scott in the last episode, which I thought was really cool too.
Yeah, it was really great. I mean, I think the next battle they're gonna have to fight is with Myron Gaines and Fresh from Fresh and Fit, and if they go there, we'll see. It's like the whole Neon and Sam
Scott
arc.
Pilgrim versus Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, exactly. Scott Pilgrim versus the Red Pill. It's like, yeah, I mean, but do you think there was a tease at the end? Do you think that we may see a season 2? I mean, the show's for the most part is pretty successful. Does it make sense to have a season 2?
I think it just ended on such a nice note, especially with like all the villains like having like happy endings and shit.
Mm-hmm.
They could, if they could. I don't know if the writer is still writing the comics. I think he, at the time that the movie came out, I think he was actually still writing the comics. If they wanted to, I could definitely see it. But I think it's fine how it ended. Honestly, I think it's a good one note and a good almost like successor to the movie in a way. It doesn't try to be a rehash, which is nice because why would you? And in the first episode, it kind of went beat for beat how the movie went, but then it kind of goes in its own path,
right?
Where it kind of like explores more of the characters, like I said. Also, I still love that they keep the music like so good.
Yeah.
in this because I love the music from the movie, so I love that they they play with the soundtrack a little bit. It's almost like Invincible, where like they have like so many great like hits in this series.
Sure.
So overall, I'd say it's pretty good. Maybe not memorable for me. But I think nonetheless, I think it's a good successor. How would you? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a thing that maybe it's super memorable, but for sure, I think it's not impossible for you to watch the show again and again if you want to keep it. I don't know if it'll be a cult classic like the live action, because there was a special element to that where it was just in a way campy and hilarious the way how they did the CGI and stuff. So maybe that's why a cult classic. For this, I don't think it'll be so much of a cult classic, but I think it's a nice cherry on top for Scott Pilgrim fans, and it's you could all just embrace the show, and it's been I bet with you everybody kind of wanted an anime from Scott Pilgrim, especially that matches the comic style, so that's really great. For the most part, I think I'd give this show honestly a 9 out of 10. It was a pretty fast watch, and I think it wasn't boring whatsoever, and I think it was a pretty nice show. I think people should check it out. What about you?
I'd agree. Yeah, I think I would probably give it 9 out of 10. I think, and coming from Netflix, I think it worked really well. I think Netflix knows how to handle animated series really well. And yeah, like the pacing was like really digestible. You could get this done in like a day. It was like the really short episodes, but I like that. I like when they have short episodes, but they feel like almost impactful in a way. Like you really spend time with these characters, right? It's not just like hour-long episodes, but they're like dry. So I really appreciated that. I think the art style was really cool and it really worked. It definitely feels like it stemmed right out of the comics, but also it has, like you said, like a little bit for everybody, like from the comics, from the movies, so everybody can enjoy it. So 9 out of 10 for me. Perfectly
said. So for the season 2, she's going to be fighting me, you, and Tyrone with Otis from Sex Education. That is our review for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Dylan, my friend, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, guys, let us know what you thought of this series. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, sub to the channel. We do plenty of reviews for movies, television, plenty of stuff. We have so much content left for the rest of the year. We have a bunch of videos out this week if you guys want to check out and let us know how we're doing. But we appreciate you guys as always. And until then, thanks for watching.
See you guys.